Oh, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to learn about 21C Museum Hotels. I'm Beverly McLean, Covington's social media director and travel blogger. We also have some Covington vacation advisors joining us on the line. You were personally invited to today's presentation because you showed an interest in including art in your travel, and we think 21C is an exciting new way to do just that. 21C is an award-winning hospitality company based in Louisville, Kentucky, that is pushing the boundaries in both the museum and hotel worlds to create a new kind of travel experience. Each property features a contemporary art museum, boutique hotel, and chef-driven restaurant. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping detail. We'll leave all the microphones open and you're welcome to ask questions at any time. Although if you're not speaking, please do mute your own microphone to prevent any background noise. If you don't have a mic, you can type your questions or comments into the chat box at any time, and we'll address them at the end. Now let's get to the main event. Today, our guest host is Michelle Behrman, Senior Director of Sales for 21C Museum Hotels. She has been with 21C since last September, and her focus has been creating deeper relationships with potential business and vacation guests, travel agencies, as well as overseeing meetings and events. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to give you screen control now so you can introduce us to this interesting and unique hotel concept.
Great, thank you.
And you should have it.
All right. So let me share my screen here. And let me know if you see.
I do not. I see your PowerPoint slide. There you go. That's perfect.
All right. Perfect.
Take it away.
Great. So I am really excited to be here this morning and share with you about our wonderful brand, 21C Museum Hotels. So this is just a great opportunity to bring the world of art and hospitality to all of you, and hopefully you'll get a chance to experience it. So this is going to be relaxed and casual. I hope you all have some fun. Forgive us if the technology doesn't go as planned, because that's inevitable, right?
Right.
If you have any questions too, feel free to shout them out, stop me along the way, and we'll get started. So we are a combination of a contemporary art museum, a boutique hotel experience, and chef-driven restaurants. And this creates a whole new kind of travel experience. And hopefully this is gonna advance. Let's try. Perfect. So we are a collection of art museums with rooms upstairs, is what our founders like to say. And these are our founders here, Steve Wilson and Laura Lee Brown. So Laura Lee is a member of the Brown family, and you may be familiar with the company Brown-Forman. They are a very large liquor distributor based out of Louisville, Kentucky. And she's part of that family, very, very well known in the area. And they live in Louisville, actually on a farm in the outskirts of Louisville. And in this farm, they had all of their collection of art. And to give you an idea of how large that is, they now have it in an underground storage facility in Louisville that's temperature controlled. So what they were doing is they were having a few people out to see their art because they wanted to share it. Then a few more, then it became a minivan, and then it was a school bus. And then they thought, we really need to do something. This is kind of getting out of control, and we want to share this with a large amount of people. So they reached out to the city of Louisville and said, how can we bring this experience to the people of the city? And they said, well, we need a hotel. And that really was the foundation of this concept. So part of it is a passion for art, clearly contemporary art. And part of it is also caring about the community and revitalizing the community. So they picked an area of Louisville that was underserved with not only art, but also it had dilapidated buildings and it was in disrepair. And they restored a whole block of buildings really to create the hotel and restaurant and museum. And that was our first one. And that was about 13 years ago. So this is where we are today. We are 9 strong, and you can see we're really centralized in the Midwest, a little bit east, and a little bit west with Oklahoma City and Durham, but concentrated in the Midwest. 2 more is going to kind of keep that footprint with St. Louis and Des Moines coming on board in the next 2 years. But are we looking outside of this area? Absolutely. Cities like Austin, Texas are on our radar, Portland. We also have a property that we're talking to in Brooklyn, which I think would be exciting, and even as far as Costa Rica. So we're such a unique concept, and we really try to combine the art with the revitalization of neighborhoods and bringing art to underserved communities that we look for very specific places. We're not really in your primary cities, except for Chicago. That was an exception. So we're really trying to beat the norm and do things a little bit differently. So this just gives you an idea. This is our Louisville property, and this is just one of the galleries in the property. And what's really cool here is that this is also meeting space. So you can have a meeting in our hotel and be surrounded by art. So it really, for those people who want a creative environment, you've got it here. Just to point out one piece of art in here that you might find interesting, this silver twisted mass that takes up the whole area here. This is actually the artist's depiction of a tornado. So if you kind of look, you can see different things in that. And when you're there in person, you can see there's a Barbie doll and there's a high heel shoe and there's all these things crafted in and fused and sprayed. And what's neat about our exhibits is they travel. So this piece has been to a couple of their properties, but obviously our properties are all different sizes. So it might have been smaller and they took a piece off of it and then put another piece back, of course, with the artist's permission and assistance, so that we can bring our art to all different locations. And then some pieces are permanent to the specific property because it was designed for it. So we have lots of different options. Generally, our exhibits rotate about 3 times a year. So if you have a traveler that stays with us frequently, they have a chance to see 3 different exhibits just by visiting one property, and that's really unique. So this is one of our restaurants, and you can see the art is everywhere. It's not just in a gallery or it's not just in a designated space. It's throughout our restaurants. It's in all our elevators, in our lobbies, and in the guest rooms. You actually have art in your room. We also do live performances, and obviously with what's going on right now, we've had to dial some of that back because of crowds, but we can't wait till we can do that again. They're complimentary, so free to the public, free to our guests. We have performances like this. We'll have bands play. We'll have comedy sketches. We'll have poetry readings, all kinds of different things in this 75,000 square feet of exhibit space throughout our 9 hotels. And that's larger than any art museum in North America. 9 hotels, 10 restaurants, because we have one additional restaurant that is not in a property in Louisville called the Garage Bar, and it's lots of fun. And then now here's a quiz. So this is just for fun, of course, and you can either put it in the chat box if you can find that or just yell it out. But 21C Museum Hotels was not the original name for our brand. During inception, we almost called it Mukoho, Artful, Sleepers, or Artist Retreat. What's your best guess?
I'm going to go with D, Artist Retreat.
Anybody else? Well, the correct answer is Sleepers.
Which I should have said what I was thinking.
You would have won.
I couldn't press the unmute button quick enough.
Well, and the funny thing is, what a horrible name, right? I'm so glad we went with 21C because, yeah, out of all of those, I think that's probably the worst. So just to quickly give you some information on each location. And I'm just going to let you know what there is to do in these locations right now, because that's what's important. We know Louisville's a great city. It's our red penguin. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the penguins in a few minutes. But they're right in the heart of the downtown area. Our restaurant is one of the best in the city. So you will walk through that restaurant on a Monday or a Sunday and it'll be packed. And most of it is locals because it does so well in the community. Right now, you can still do the Bourbon Trail. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's visiting the distilleries that produce bourbon. And bourbon's produced out of Kentucky exclusively. To call it bourbon, it should be produced in Kentucky because it has to do with the water. And they're also, the bourbon distilleries are a little bit outside of downtown Louisville, but most people will stay downtown and then go on those tours. But what you can also do right now are the urban bourbon trails. And what that means is they have mini micro distilleries, which are smaller versions of their larger, and they're all in walking distance of our hotel. So you can either do the big distillery tour if you're really passionate, or if you just want to get a feel for it, you can do the mini urban bourbon trail and just go to a couple right in town. We also are having Derby this year. Not sure what that means for attendance at this point, but it's September 5th, and fingers crossed that's going to go forward. We still do have some availability in the hotel, which is quite unusual. Usually we are sold out a full year in advance, but I think, just with the changes and the uncertainty, a lot of people have canceled. So there are those things to do, as well as lots of outdoor activities as well in Louisville. Cincinnati, the property is located right in the heart of downtown. Incredible location. Cincinnati is famous for WKRP, of course, that show. Our penguin here is yellow, and Cincinnati is known for beer. So there's an underground tunnel tour that you can do that will take you to all the different places that they used to smuggle beer in during Prohibition. So it's really a cool experience. And I didn't realize before I put all of this together, but Cincinnati is one of the top 25 cities for beer in North America. So lots of really cool experiences here. The zoo in Cincinnati is one of the top zoos in North America. In fact, they won Best Zoo in 2019. So this is on my bucket list because we are a big zoo family and I haven't been. We're right across the street from the Arnoff Center. And you may be familiar with that, but that is where it's basically Broadway in Cincinnati. It's where all the musical performances and theater. So all of that is right within walking distance. And you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, that charred carrot salad is absolutely the most incredible thing that we have on the menu. And I get it every time I visit the property. So I have a link to the recipe for that we're going to share with you after this call. Bentonville, I don't know if anyone's heard of Bentonville before. I certainly had not before I started working with this brand. Our penguin is green here, and Bentonville is actually home to Walmart. So this is where the founders of Walmart, this is where the headquarters is. So if you do any sort of business with Walmart, if you sell to them, you must visit the mothership here in Bentonville. So a ton of corporate business comes into Bentonville, but also leisure. So they've got the best of both worlds there, which is really cool. It's the mountain biking capital of the world, self-proclaimed, but I love that they've owned that. But if you Google it, it will come up. They've got trails that are just spectacular. I've looked at them online. I haven't had a chance to ride them yet, but they're absolutely gorgeous. You can rent bikes very easily. You can bring your own. There's also a little small town feel to Bentonville. It's almost like it's been compared to Pleasantville because it's just so picture perfect, and you would never think that. So you can go to farmers markets. There's hiking trails all over. It's just really iconic Americana, and it's a very special place to visit. Now, Sam Walton's family, they also are art aficionados, and they've opened a place called Crystal Bridges that you might have heard of. It's a massive art museum, and it's completely free, and it's right through a little walking trail from our hotel. So you can go visit our art, do the little walking trail to Crystal Bridges, which is very famous. And then they just opened the Momentary, which is their modern art piece of their museum. So you've got Crystal Bridges, our museum, and the Momentary, all available complimentary. And then you're biking. So there's just so much to do in Bentonville. Durham, Our hotel this is one of the few that was not a complete rehab because this was a high rise. Actually, it's really different for us. The Fuchsia Penguin is theirs, and Counting House is the restaurant, which is absolutely outstanding. And in Bentonville, I didn't mention the Hive, which is a local, probably the best restaurant in the city. We're known for our restaurants as well as the properties. So what's really cool, I'm going to point out in this picture, if you look straight ahead, you'll see that picture there of the woman with all the green. That's a Candy Wiley. And I don't know if you know who that artist is, but he painted that portrait of Barack Obama that is famous. So our founders discovered Candy Wiley back in the very, very early stages of his career, bought quite a few pieces of his before he became as renowned as he is. So we have some just really unique pieces. And we've got one that sits behind the front desk in Cincinnati right now before it rotates, although they may not take it away because it's so spectacular. When you check in, you're standing in front of one of the most incredible pieces of art. So really unique experience. And Durham, there's lots to do outside in Durham. You know, it's not just Duke University. There is the American Tobacco Trail, which is where they used to bring the tobacco leaves to market. That has all been turned into a biking and hiking path. So it's really about 20 miles, really incredibly beautiful. They have something called the Eno River State Park, which is only about 15 minutes from our property. You can hike there, you can kayak, just really, really cool experience. Lots and lots of things to do in Durham. And then we moved to Lexington. So Lexington is a really darling property. It was a former bank. So we restored this building and brought it back to its former grandeur, opened up all this drywall and this carpeting to find marble floors and columns. And it just really is a spectacular property. And Lexington is one of the top 10 gay-friendly cities. We do a drag brunch on Sundays. That is really just a ton of fun. You can also follow the Bourbon Trail. So Lexington and Louisville are kind of sister properties in that respect. Outside of Lexington, there's lots of distilleries that you can visit and experience bourbon and just really have some fun with that. And they also have the largest restored Shaker village in the country. So if you're into that Shaker experience, you can go and take a step back in time and experience that with your family and kids and spouse. The next one, Oklahoma City, another city that I really wasn't familiar with until I joined this company. The Purple Penguin is represented here. It's a cute, cute little city. And what they have are a lot of districts. So they've got little pockets of restaurants and boutique shopping that you can take a trolley that connects all these districts together. And just really, it's a great like girls' weekend. Wonderful, wonderful places to shop and dine. You can also visit bison in the wild in Oklahoma City, which I think is incredibly cool. I'm going to do that the next time I go. And they have the #1 restaurant in the country in Oklahoma City, None Such, in 2019. So it's really kind of a foodie capital, as well as outdoor things that tie it all together. So this is just a great spot if you're looking for an out-of-the-box place to go. And if you see down in the lower corner, that is one of our rooms. And you'll notice that massive feel to it with those floor-to-ceiling windows. This was a Ford Motor factory. So we took this whole block of factory, restored it, and made it into a hotel with incredible meeting space. So it's really, really a unique property. And then this is where we just get stuck for some reason. It doesn't want to go quickly. Okay, we did it. Nashville. So one of my personal favorite cities, the Teal Penguin is our penguin here. And I probably don't have to say a lot about Nashville because everyone knows our restaurant, Gray and Dudley, is what the original building was. It was a hardware store, Gray and Dudley. So we kept that name for our restaurant when we restored the building. We are about 2 blocks off of Broadway and that whole honky-tonk area. So you're close enough that you just walk down the hill, and I mean an easy walk, but yet far enough away that you don't have all the mayhem just right when you step out your door. So I kind of like that. I like being able to just walk to it, but also just to get away from it if I want to just relax and chill out in our outside cafe. You don't feel like you're on the street with a lot of people. We're also walking distance to Bridgeport Stadium, and that's where the football teams play. That's where there's concerts. In fact, they've already had concerts this year, which is fantastic. They've had drive-in concerts where you drive your car and then you have a little spot next to your car and you stand in that spot. So really just trying to continue to support the arts and have as many concerts and outdoor activities as they can right now. So this is just a great little property. And then Kansas City, we are right in the heart of downtown Kansas City with our pale blue penguin. The Savoy is what this building used to be called, and it was a hotel. So we kept the name for our restaurant. And when you see the top image here, what you're seeing here is this is when you walk into the hotel. So it's very dramatic. But what these lights represent is this is the skyline of Kansas City. An artist did these digital images that took a picture over 24 hours to see what the skylight looked like as the sun was rising and setting. So that's what's reflected here. And this changes all day long as the sky would change. So it's really a very powerful exhibit. And that's one of the ones that's permanent to this property that I mentioned. Again, we are in a great location. We are just a few minutes from the Power and Light District, which is where there's a lot of entertainment and some bars. And we are on the trolley line. So that's a complimentary trolley that runs right through the downtown area. So it's a great location for people that want to be in the downtown area and not out at the plaza area. You know, the plaza area was very popular for a long time. It has a lot of those big box hotels and a lot of chain restaurants, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But if people want an authentic downtown experience, which it seems like people do look for something more authentic today, then that's what you're going to find in our hotel here. There's lots of museums. There's actually the World War I History Museum. There's a jazz museum. There's the Negro Baseball League Museum. So lots and lots to do in the city. And it's actually, this is where the Happy Meal was invented by McDonald's. So that's one of their big claims to fame. And what's also interesting is Walt Disney had his first animation store in Kansas City, and they had an actual mouse in the building. And you can probably see where I'm going here, but that's what Mickey Mouse was named after, an actual mouse in the building in Kansas City in his first animation store. So a little bit of Kansas City trivia for you. Last but not least, our newest property, we opened in March and promptly closed right after we opened, sadly, but we are reopening again September 1. This hotel and Oklahoma City are the only two that have lagged behind in opening, and that's because in Oklahoma City, we were doing a restaurant change anyway. So we thought, well, let's just wait until we get that settled and then we'll reopen. And in Chicago, same thing. Lure is a seafood restaurant that did not open originally in March. So we were waiting for it to open, but we're just going to open without it because the hotel's anxious to join the rest of the portfolio, and business has increased enough that we feel we can support the hotel. If you're familiar with the city, we are just a block off of Michigan Avenue, so perfect location in what was formerly called the James Hotel, if that rings a bell at all. So we're right in the heart of the downtown area, all the shopping, the restaurants. Really incredible location. The lakefront is open for biking and riding. That we have so many outside restaurants and rooftops that there is not a shortage of places to dine, and shopping is open. You can also do lake cruises. The architectural cruise is running. You can get kayaks and kayak yourself on the Chicago River. There's lots of boats that are still going out. So there's still a ton of things that you can do in Chicago if you're coming our way. So our penguins are sculptures, and I know I didn't tell you a whole lot of details, so I'm just going to throw this one at you and see how your guess is. They originally came from Italy from an artist exhibit called, is it Penguin Pride, Feathered Friends, Cracking Art, or King Bird?
I'm at a loss. King Bird.
All right. That is incorrect. So the correct answer is cracking art. So plastic is formed when fossil fuel reaches a certain point and makes a cracking noise. And so it was a commentary on our use of our natural resources and on plastics, which our penguins are made of. And so when you crack that cracking noise, when you make plastic, we also made art from that, or the artist did. And so the red penguin was our very first. They went to this exhibit in Italy and fell in love with the penguin, bought it, brought it back for the opening. Well, the local community went crazy over these penguins. And so our owners thought, people really like this. We use them in the hotel. So if we have a VIP, we put that penguin either in their room or waiting for them at their door. In the restaurant, if we have a VIP for a special occasion, a birthday or something fun, we put that penguin at their table waiting for them. And I literally cannot tell you how much people love these penguins and the pictures that they post online with them. Each penguin is worth $5,000. So they're quite pricey, but you can buy them because they are one of the few pieces of art that we do sell. The rest of it is all private collectors. And so when we brought these over, we thought we'll give each hotel their own color penguin. So each hotel has about 40 to 50 penguins that they use at their discretion throughout the hotel. And really, people really just do adore them.
Michelle,
Yep.
Can we as travel advisors make arrangements for our clients who are staying there to have a penguin visit?
We would love you to.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be really great.
It's just so special. And I tell you, when I travel, if they forget to put a penguin at my door, I get really cranky because I really love them. And so it just makes my day. And it's funny because we move them around too. So if your guest goes to their room and it's standing outside their door, they can pick it up and bring it in the room. But then we may come the next day and take it and put it in their bathroom when we clean the room. So they have a lot of fun with them, and people really adore them. Now, this is just a fun example of what we did in one of our hotels. We gave this room. This was a room on our basement level. We had a hard time selling it. It was right next to the gym. It was just a regular room. So we gave this to some artists and we said, what can you do with this? And they created this. It's called A Sleep in a Cyclone. And it has a kind of a 70s vibe with the shag carpeting and the platform bed. And I'm lucky I actually got to see this in person because it's always sold out now. People get this for, bachelor parties, or they'll get it for, a romantic weekend. And it's super fun and very creative. We have lots of different suites like these at all of our hotels. And then, as I mentioned, our art is not just, in a gallery, it's everywhere in the hotel, even in our gym. This is called Fat Bat. And he's here to motivate you to get moving. But what's really cool is that, a lot of our exhibits are interactive. So you'll see people running through our hotel, going from exhibit to exhibit. We also have guided tours twice a week. So if you're there during one of those times, we post those. You can go around with a museum manager and they will explain the art to you. Or we also have the codes that you can hold your phone up and you can read information about what the artist wanted you to know. We're also getting ready to publish, and this is no one really knows this yet. We haven't officially done it yet, but we've just had 3D imaging and video 3D imaging done of all of our properties. And we're going to be releasing our museum tours online, complimentary, so that if you can't travel right now, you can go online and you can do a virtual tour of our museums and you can hear our museum curator speak about each piece that she wants to share with you. So I will make sure that when we release our first one, we'll release them probably one at a time as we get them shot. Nashville will be our first one, and we will share those so that you can do your virtual tour before you even get there. And it's just going to be a great experience. We're sharing those with schools as well because, kids need a new way to learn today. And teachers are desperate for content and things that are engaging. So we're going to be sharing those with public schools as well so that they can do virtual tours for kids. So lots of ways that we're trying to still give back. So this is Steve, who is one of our founders, and I'm in love with his jacket. I mean, who doesn't love a glitter camo jacket? We've got a video here, but we couldn't quite get it to work with the sound. So what we will do is we'll make sure that you can get a link to this video, and he takes you into his private owner's apartment in Louisville. And that is available to rent for very special VIPs. And it's really spectacular. It's the top floor. It has incredible views of the river in Louisville, and it's just a unique experience. And he's quite a character. He loves the spotlight, so he loves to get a chance to talk to customers and talk to our partners. So this might be our last quiz, I think, but this one, let's see if you know this one. The 21C in our brand name stands for 21 Penguin Salute, 21 Reasons Why We Love Art, 21st Century Art, or 21 Celebrations of Art.
Okay, I know this one, so I won't say.
Okay.
I've got this one. I know it. Anybody else? Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
All right. So 21st century art, and that is not modern art. So I learned something too, because I'm not a big art person, but I'm becoming one. My sister says that I got the job that she should have had because she's an artist. So 21st century is art that speaks to the time. It speaks to today. It's what artists want to communicate about what's going on in the world. I mentioned our penguins are a commentary on our environmental resources and the use of plastics. We have art that speaks to politics, that speaks to children, to religion. We have all kinds of different concepts through our artists that we try to share. Also, you can follow us on our Instagram accounts because we post a lot of our art there. But what we're trying to do is not force our thoughts or opinions or our artists' thoughts or opinions on anyone, but just to stimulate conversation and to get us to look at things differently and talk about it and share, and really just to create conversations about the world and the world that we live in. And so that's our intention by sharing, and our founder's intention. And what we really truly believe in, and this drives everything that we do, we start with this in our meetings and we start with this in our business plans, is that we believe that art can change the world. And as I said, it opens your eyes to situations and problems and wonderful things and ideas that maybe we wouldn't be aware without having seen that through the eyes of someone else. And so we hope that you'll get a chance to visit us, and that you'll let us strike up conversations for you and change the way that you look at things, so that we can all come together instead of, us being torn apart right now. So this is our little family of penguins. We're missing one with our new hotel in Chicago, so we need to add our evergreen. And each one does have a reason for their colors. So I don't have that all memorized, but each one had a reason why their color was picked. And if anyone's interested, happy to share that with all of the other information that we will send out to you as well. But I can't thank you enough for your time today, and hope that this just gave you a little glimpse of our world. And we hope that you'll come visit us whenever you're able to, because we're here and we're ready for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. That was just wonderful. I am so intrigued personally. I cannot wait to go visit one of these hotels. But I do have a question about the penguins.
Yes.
How tall are they? They look like they're about 36 inches or so. And how much do they weigh?
Yeah, so they're about 4 feet.
Okay.
Extremely light. Like you could throw it in the air and catch it.
Okay.
And we have had people try to steal them, you might be wondering. And we always get them back. We have a way of tracking them down. We don't have a chip. A lot of people say you should chip them, because for $5,000, that's a nice piece of art walking out the door. But what's funny is people tend to like to post when they steal them. So we are able to track them through their Instagram accounts or their Facebook, and we get them back. We've actually stopped someone in Louisville. She was running out the door with one, had perhaps had a few too many bourbons. And she said that she just wanted to take him for a ride on the bus. So it was harmless, but we had to convince her that no, they prefer to stay at home in their nest. And we do have it's kind of funny, we have a whole handbook on penguin protocol. So there's things you can and cannot do. For example, you can't dress them up. So we can't put clothes on them. And we can't have them touching another piece of art. So there's just a whole protocol book that you have to read, so that you're familiar with what's going on and how to properly care for your penguins. So it's kind of funny.
That is great. I love it. I just love the concept. I just think the whole thing is so unique, and it's just really intriguing and thrilling.
Yeah, we love it. It brings a little bit of levity to our brand, and it's something fun that customers just adore.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I think it's just fascinating. We would love to bring this to our clients, bring our clients to you, to the hotels. And I can't wait to see some and myself. I did speak to a friend just recently who her husband is from Louisville, and she had actually stayed in the hotel in Louisville, and she said it was just magnificent. So I'm really anxious to see it myself. Thank you so much. Terry or Jean or anybody else have any other questions for Michelle?
Michelle, I was just looking and I noticed that the price point is pretty reasonable. Is that, and I just happened to pick up, I think I was looking at Cincinnati. So is that pretty much across the board? Like, what is the median price point? And the room categories, are they pretty much the same? And if you said that and I missed it, I apologize.
Yeah, so right now it's challenging because we are in an extremely low ADR scenario because of what's going on. You know, we can only sell at half capacity because of the current restrictions, and that's really limiting our ability. So your prices are probably about 20% lower than they would normally be during good times, and obviously they fluctuate based on, you know, demand. If there's a sellout in the city or if there's a convention, you know, the average rates will be higher. So it's hard to say because it's market specific, but we would be priced as you would find maybe a 4-star, not a 5-star. So we think it's a pretty good price point. To give you a heads up right now, Chicago and Oklahoma City are running a promotion. We ran it for the rest of our brand because it ran 2 weeks before they opened and then 2 weeks when they were open, and we've passed that point now. But for Chicago and Oklahoma City, they're right in the middle of it, and it's buy one, get one, which we've never, ever done before. So literally you could spend, you know, $100, $150 and have, you know, 2 rooms. And so, and we're asking that they, you know, be consecutive, because if not, that just opens up a whole lot of other issues. But check it out if Chicago or Oklahoma City are in your travel plans for the next few weeks or so, because that's going on right now. Room categories, so they're pretty much predominantly, we are deluxe categories. We have a lot of suites at some properties, only a few at others. But so they're pretty much all deluxe kings. We do have some doubles, but the bulk of our properties have king beds, some doubles, and then suites.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Nashville has the most suites of any of our properties because they have a lot of, or actually, that's not true. It was Nashville, but Chicago now, because of the way the building was configured, we have so many different suites. So it's so easy for us to upgrade in Chicago because we've got a corner king, we've got a deluxe king, we've got this king. They all have all different configurations, and we've just got a lot of them. And that's our largest property as well. It's 330. So the other properties are all about 100 rooms. So we just have a lot of ability to take care of your customers and upgrade them in Chicago.